Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Hudak. We will start, though, with a Saints training camp report, as we've done each day during camp. Our friend Maddy Hudak, good enough to get out to practice, keep an eye on things, and give us a report here on the show, and she joins us now. Maddy, we appreciate it. How are you?
I'm good. It was good practice today.
Let's start with the big question. Obviously, Jameis injured yesterday, not there today. What's the latest?
Yeah, so Dennis Allen said after practice that he had a sprained right foot. It's one of those day-to-day things. They don't kind of feel that it's significant in any way. Someone had asked whether or not they anticipate him playing in the preseason, and he kind of declined to answer that. But, you know, that kind of just led to a lot of the other quarterbacks getting some actual good work at practice today. But the air is that, you know, it's nothing significant to worry as of now.
Right, like if it was week one, we'd be having a different conversation than we are 5 weeks out from the opener.
Right.
So let me just take the opportunity then to ask about Andy Dalton, about Ian Book. You and I really haven't talked at all about those guys since we've been doing the camp reports. Anything stand out watching them throw today?
Yeah, so Ian Book probably had his best 2 days of camp yesterday and today. Yesterday he kind of shone quite a bit with some of his throws. They both went 5 of 6 in one of their series today. I had them pretty even back and forth, but Andy Dalton has impressed me, absolutely. It's not like I expected that much from him, but when you talk about kind of wanting that ultimate backup quarterback, someone that could go in, execute the exact offense that you want, and be confident that they would be able to step in and understand the offense, have their targets to be able to, make it through a 2 or 3 game stretch. He's just an executor. He's really connecting with Thomas. He can get the ball out quick and really seems to kind of understand the routes and where to place the ball. And then Ian Book, the first half of camp, he kind of just ran around back there, which wasn't really helpful to evaluate. And he just had some really nice placed balls in the end zone today with a touch. So both of them looked good, and I am curious to see both of them, especially Book, who really didn't get any of that time in the preseason last year. And then, I do throw that Dolphins game out in the trash from last year, so it'll be good to see them in game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was such a weird thing with that Monday night, all the COVID, everybody at the absence. It was, the stories about guys literally introducing themselves in the locker room before the game. What about this is just sort of a one-off of that conversation, though, Maddy. Is Ian Book, do you suspect the Saints are going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the active roster, or would they put him at risk on the practice squad?
It's interesting because we were kind of going over that at Saints Wire, and the consensus was kind of that they'll keep 2 quarterbacks on the roster. I have to think that after, even though it's not a significant injury to Jameis Winston, then you have to think, I get the idea that the emergency quarterback would be Taysom Hill, but, Taysom, he's durable and not durable at the same time. Sure. He seems to bounce back quite a bit, but at the same time, he had the Liz Frank injury, and then he hurt his rib, and hasn't really, done much other than just kind of, nothing against defensive backs or anything like that. He was catching some balls today, but I do worry that, the dominoes could fall rather quickly. And I think depending on how Ian Book plays, he might make a case for himself on the roster, and just kind of seeing how Winston's foot goes. But it really did kind of make us all stop and almost, instantly evaluate the room. If it was me, I would try to find a way just in case, given, what we have seen of the Saints the past couple of years with rotating quarterbacks with injury.
She's Maddy Hudak, giving us our Saints camp report, doing so every day here on AFR while the Saints are in camp. Normally, Marcus Davenport returning would have been the lead, but for Jameis not being there. So this was good to see. How did it look seeing Davenport off the pup and out there for the first time?
Yeah, it was really the first time we've seen him do anything besides conditioning purposes. He did participate in the walkthrough stretch and individual drill, but Allen did mention that they're kind of getting some players ramped up these next 2 weeks. And he did mention after practice that he was kind of working on getting in shape first and foremost. So, we didn't see that much of him in terms of participating in pass rush or anything like that, but it was a good sign to see him. It was a really good sign to hear from him after practice. It looks like he's moving well, and if all there is just kind of get back into game shape, probably a good sign for him moving forward. He was asked about his hand and that amputation, and he said that that's all kind of healing very well. So something to watch to see kind of when he gets involved in things, but that was a notable presence at camp today.
Well, obviously, with Davenport coming back, there was one unfortunate injury today with Bryce Thompson. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I was unfortunately right there. He was going up against, I believe it was Kirk Merritt in the end zone, and he covered him really well. Just the second they kind of fell to the ground, it was kind of like C.J. Garner-Johnson had a brief, I think it was a cramp or something yesterday, but he tried to get up and fell back over on his foot, and that's exactly what happened to Bryce Thompson. He looked to be in pain, was kind of yelling and couldn't really turn over. Looked like an ankle or something, and they eventually did, cart him off the field. And, I think that's really all we know at this point, but disappointing because he has had a really, really strong camp showing so far.
You said that the injury came when he was going against Kirk Merritt. That's another guy, Maddy, who we've heard a lot about. What has been so impressive about Kirk Merritt so far?
He just is one of those players that you didn't really expect to write down in your notebook, more than once or twice. And I have him in my chart as going, 3-0 against Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo, and contested catches for that matter. He had a one-handed catch in the end zone. Really just impressive plays, both from Winston and Book and Andy Dalton all throwing to him. Dennis Allen did. Ross Jackson asked after practice kind of what his opinion on Kirk Merritt is, and he said it is a player that has caught his eye. He had a shakier OTA performance earlier on, but he really has seemed to kind of come on. Between him and Aesop Winston Jr., I am really curious to kind of see how the end of that wide receiver group really molds out, but Merritt has definitely made a strong case to make that roster.
Yeah, and so it's final thing. So we saw the first depth chart come out yesterday for whatever that's worth. Again, it's like the beginning of camp. But is there a spot when I look at the receiver room, Maddy? I don't know where a guy like Kirk Merritt or anyone at the end of that room fits in. How do they resolve that? I mean, is there a spot for a guy like Kirk Merritt on this team?
Yeah, I mean, he's listed behind Kevin White, ahead of Dixon and Shaheed, but same thing with Aesop Winston. My thing is whichever one of them is more impressive on special teams. I think that's always the way to kind of sneak in the door for the Saints. And just for me personally, if it comes down to special teams, I think Aesop Winston has kind of made more of a case for himself there. But you're right, this time last year it was, who is the wide receiving room? Is Marquez Callaway wide receiver one? Right. And is Hogan wide receiver two? But this year, it's people were not so much freaking out, but, why is Chris Olave so far down the depth chart? And, how do we keep guys like Winston Jr. and Merritt, whereas last year they were kind of the darlings of camp? It is going to be tough, but again, I think the best way to make this team is special teams.
Maddy, last year at this time, I was legit trying to convince myself that Kevin White had something left in the tank. It's gonna happen. It's gotta happen. I mean, it's such a world apart from the conversation we're having just a year ago. First preseason game on Saturday. Maddy Hudak, she's on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. That's MADDY. Don't screw it up like the Starbucks person does every time. HUDAK. Maddy Hudak _94. Give her a follow. Okay, Maddy, we appreciate it. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.